Good morning. It's Thursday, September 29th. And Mitch Mcconnell, who I have always considered the most evil man in government, has finally stepped up to the plate and done something that I would consider good, maybe better than good. He has decided to back the electoral bill. That is a bill that is in response to the January 6th attack on our country. This is a change to the whole electoral count process. And it is in direct defiance of what ex-President Donald Trump wants. Donald Trump wants the entire government of Republicans, senators and congressmen, to vote this bill down. But McConnell has stepped to the plate now in defiance of what Trump wants. Now, that's a big step for McConnell, because I believe that he's been against Trump ever since the riot. But he has been very cagey in showing his displeasure with the former president. So this is an open counterattack on President Trump's views. And I think what happened is that McConnell misunderstood the power that Trump had over this country. I think that he was prepared to defy Trump right from the very beginning. But then he realized that Trump had a tremendous hold on the population of this country. And beyond the population of this country, Trump had a tremendous hold on those in Congress and the Senate. And we have seen what that has caused over the past 2.5 years. And so McConnell went on record to support the legislation that would make it harder to overturn a certified presidential election. This is an endorsement that will bolster its chances for passage in his chamber and puts him at sharp odds with former President Donald Trump, who has called upon all of the senators to sink the plan. But McConnell said the chaos of the pro-Trump attack on the Capitol last year certainly underscored a need for an update. And he said, I strongly support the personnel who worked on these changes. The congressional process for counting the presidential electors' votes was written 135 years ago, and the chaos that came to a head on January 6th of last year definitely produced a need for an update. And in January 2001 and 2005 and 2017, those elections were challenged by the Democrats, and they challenged to try and change the lawful election. Now, I don't remember 2005 and 2017, but I remember that the Supreme Court got involved in 2001 in the election that were resolved with George W. Bush becoming president over Al Gore. And that there was trickery in that counting, but the Supreme Court went along with it. I'm not sure it wasn't anything illegal. It was just the way the ballots were laid out, etc. So definitely the counting needs to be corrected. And McConnell is taking a stance in favor of this new legislation. And good for him. I applaud him for doing that, knowing full well that he will be attacked by Trump forever. Right now, it takes one House member and one senator to object to the count, and that will cause a recount. Under the Senate version, you would need 1/5 of all the members in the chamber, in each chamber, to call for a recount. In the congressional version, you would need 1/3 of each chamber to vote for a recount. So now you're putting in the hands of Congress or the Senate a large number of people to vote for a recount. I would think it would be almost impossible to get that unless there was really a flagrant violation of the counting procedures. So no matter which version of the bill is passed, the congressional one or the senatorial one, the vice president's role will be just ceremonial. Right now, the vice president had no authority to change the vote or stop the count or whatever you want to say. And that will continue in these new bills, although these new bills will categorically state that he's just making announcements. He has no authority at all. And we all know that Trump tried to push Pence into doing something that he didn't have the authority to do. And Pence, to his credit, stood fast and said he was going to do what he was there to do, and that was to make sure that everybody knew that Joe Biden was the new president. Okay? So I'm glad that McConnell has stood up in this particular case, even though I refuse to forgive him for what he did to Merrick Garland. That was a blatant dereliction of duty, to invent a reason for not having Merrick Garland voted on, to claim that it was too close to an election year to allow this. McConnell was lucky that Trump won and that Garland went and sat by the wayside. But that action of his was unforgivable in my mind. So while he has stepped to the plate in this situation and done the correct thing, I will never really forgive him for what he did to Merrick Garland and what he established for some lunatic in the future to do. And will they have to write a bill validating the time frame of when a president appoints a Supreme Court judge, that the time frame is X, Y, or Z, and it has to be done in that period of time, or else? Now, I don't know what or else is, but there's no reason for not giving Garland his 2 or 3 months of fame. So for that, I will never forgive McConnell. And so while he has stepped up and I can loosen my title of the most evil man in government, just a touch, not much, just a touch. So I leave you with those thoughts this morning. And I hope this bill gets resolved quickly, because to leave the counting of the votes up in the air without some strict rules is a failing. And hopefully we will correct it properly. So I leave you with that, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye.